Dude, you've been up since 4:30 in the morning, you had to act all professional, you had to wear a tie? Are you doing okay? If I had 3 gifts granted to me by a genie, I would use one of them to explain to the dogs that when I give them a static shock, they're not in trouble, it's just an accident. That response is sweet, practical, and concerning. Hi! Victory puppy! I am the I have no idea what I'm doing. God, this team is ruining my life! Victory puppies, boys! In this house, we only support one fourth-line center, and that's Freddie Goje, and we always have! Don't watch any of my videos for the past 6 years! Yeah! I get no sleep because of y'all! Y'all not gonna get no sleep because of me! Leafs win! 5-3 over the Buffalo Sabres! The Leafs got a 4-1 lead and protected it! Mostly! You know when a light bulb burns really bright just before it explodes? That's me right now. Oh, the trade deadline, and I haven't even reacted to that. I just realized right now as I'm filming this, I haven't made a video reacting to the trade deadline. Which isn't even true. I've been making videos reacting to the trade deadline all day long. I've just been doing it for Sportsnet. Oh, I am jacked. I am fired up. I'm gonna have no energy left to edit this video, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll see how I pull it off. Tell you what. Let's talk about the game, and then we'll talk about all that other stuff. God, where is this coming from? Oh, I know, they won! So the first period is a little hard for me to break down because I was on the train coming home from Sportsnet's broadcast of the trade deadline. All I can tell you is that I looked at the numbers and it looks like the Leafs play like crap! Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the first period of this game. I was on the train coming home after Sportsnet's NHL trade deadline coverage, but from what I saw, they looked like garbage. Leafs outshot 16-6, is that good? So uncharacteristic of them to have a bad start. John Tavares takes a slashing call, the Leafs kill that off, luckily. This was interesting, Leafs too many men on the ice call, served by John Tavares. What? Watch, I'm smart, I'm gonna guess. Okay, so the Leafs line of Tavares, Marner, Hyman was on the ice. Hyman and Marner both killed more penalties than JT does, so JT served it. Did it work? No! Jack Eichel scored after 7 seconds! And the Leafs head into the first intermission down by 1 and deserving to be down by 5! And listen, they obviously came out very different in the second period. I don't know what was said in the locker room between the first and second period. I don't know if it was one of the players. Maybe it was one of those silent situations. Maybe Mike Babcock got up and gave a rousing speech because he's the head coach and they do that in the movies. Although I don't know what they said, here's what I would have said to them. There is a reason you are here in this locker room, this season, this day, this very moment, and very little of it has to do with luck. You are all here because you have earned the opportunity to play in the National Hockey League. Some of you even living out your childhood dream of playing for the Leafs. Whether you were drafted, signed, traded for, or surprisingly called up. There is a reason you weren't shipped out today on the trade deadline. Maybe there's several. Maybe the player the Leafs wanted wasn't out there. Maybe the player the Leafs wanted was out there, but the cost was just too high. Or maybe, just maybe, because you're awesome, you are freaking spectacular at this sport called hockey, Kyle Dubas, Mike Babcock, and the entire Toronto Maple Leafs organization decided these are our guys. Come hell or high water, Tampa or Boston, we will ride with this group. We believe in you, why don't you? Stop playing like the Toronto Maple Leafs and start playing like the Toronto Maple Leafs! 1967, Game 7 last season, and the first period all have one thing in common. They're in the past. Now that the trade deadline has come and gone, you have 2 things. This group of guys and now. Now go out there and prove to everybody why you're here. Beginning of the second period, what is it? Is it a big shot? Is it a big save? Is it a big hit? Sometimes it is something as simple as moving your feet. If you just move your feet, either you will make progress or someone will impede it, which they're not allowed to do. And sometimes they'll even call it. And Tage Thompson, 2 minutes for tripping, leads to the power play. And it sucks. They just aren't able to quite get it going, but hey, okay, they still have the puck, they're still riding the momentum. They don't give up. Just because the power play is over doesn't mean that the whole play is over. John Tavares has an opportunity to roof it, instead he passes it to Willie. He's not even expecting it, come on! But the play does not die, and Willie gets it to the point. And he won't get a point on this play, but it was because of the hustle of William Nylander that this play did not die. Travis Dermott, on the left-hand side, throws it over to Jake Muzzin. On the right-hand side, he bombs it. John Tavares is a Leaf! and the Leafs tie it up. All those players using their strength. Dermott moves it, Muzzin bombs it, Tavares tips it. I know what Babcock said at intermission. He was like Mufasa.
Remember who you are. You're good plurs.
And after that goal, the Matthews line, the hell on wheels line, goes, wait a second, we are good plurs. Janssen and Kapanen break into the zone with speed. Janssen backhand pass over to Kapanen. Kapanen slows down and he stick handle it. Oh, what's he gonna do? Sauce spots. Rips it, stopped by Carter Hutton, but it lands on Austin Matthews' feet and he takes it with his feet. It doesn't stop. Throws a centering pass. It goes nowhere near anyone that it's intended to, unless he meant to bank it off a Sabres skate, which it did. It goes right back to Austin Matthews, the man who said he wanted to get more assists and goals this season, but no one told him that assists don't count if you give them to yourself. Snipe! His 30th of the season makes it 2-1 Leafs. The first ever Toronto Maple Leaf to have 3 straight 30-goal seasons to start his career. Dude, he had the 40-goal campaign as a rookie. He was injured last year, 30 anyway. Injured this year, 30 anyway. Say it with your chest and say it with me. Austin Matthews is a Leaf! Woo-hoo-hoo. I had the pleasure of going on Good Show with JD Bunkus and Ben Ennis today for the trade deadline, and we were sort of talking about the composition of the Leafs. What are they going to look like? And, you know, there's been a lot of talk of, should Willie go back with Austin? Because it's basically made around Austin is such a good goal scorer, he could use a really good playmaker. But here's the thing. Janssen, Kapanen, Matthews is hell on wheels. Janssen and Kapanen are just different versions of each other. Matthews brings this elite shot, top 5 maybe. Kapanen brings this elite speed, top 5 maybe. And Janssen doesn't have the same shot as Matthews, doesn't have the same speed as Kapanen, but his shot's pretty good and his speed's pretty good and he's tenacious as hell. You're gonna have a hell of a job trying to tame that beast. And while they might not be Mitch Marner level passers, they get the job done. And while Matthews can score a pretty goal, he can score a greasy goal, and this goal was a little combination of both. Don't forget, the game winner against the Montreal Canadiens was Marner just firing a shot at Carey Price that I don't even think Marner thought he was going to score with. He put it there for Hyman to bang it home. So if Matthews comes in, rips it, and there's a rebound, guess what? You have one of the fastest players in the league and Andreas Janssen, whose bread and butter is goals in front of the net, waiting. So there's lines 1 and 2 I described. How about we skip 3 and go to 4? A little bit of movement today. The Leafs trade Per Lindholm to the Winnipeg Jets in exchange for Nick Petan. Interesting move. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Remember, Nazem Kadri is still not in the lineup, so the 4th line is Tyler Ennis, Freddie the Goat, and Trevor Moore, who is just called up. Tyler Ennis goes into the corner being shadowed by Matt Hunwick? Is that a thing? I think I knew that was a thing. I forgot that was a thing. Throws it behind the net, and now there's 2 players who are favorites to get it because they're the closest. Marco Scandella of the Buffalo Sabres, 6'3", 210 pounds, and Trevor Moore, 5'10", 180 pounds, you lying website. I don't think Trevor Moore is either of those things, but there's a loose puck, and Marco Scandella was preventing Trevor Moore from getting in front of the net because he's big and strong and rock beats scissors. Well, you know, there's different options. In this whole toughness and sandpaper debate, yes, it would be wonderful if the Leafs got someone bigger and maybe someone tougher, and for some reason we all choose to ignore that they got Jake Muzzin. We didn't get anybody, and Kyle Dubas is like, But have you ever been driving somewhere and there was a roadblock? Let me ask you something. From your personal experience, what did you do? Did you stop, put your car in park, and shut it off? No, you went around! So Scandella used his strength to keep Trevor Moore from the front of the net. Trevor Moore used his strength, which was speed, to get around and give himself time and space. Now, what did he do with that time and space? Not a ton. He sort of just threw it through the slot, but the puck is still alive. Jake Gardner gets it along the half boards, and he throws it in front of Freddie Gauthier, who is a big guy and is using his size to be in front of the net. Backhander scores! Trevor Moore, the gosh darn goat whisperer. Look at this ridiculousness. Frederik Gauthier has 3 goals. Trevor Moore has assisted on them all. This is Trevor Moore's 8th game. How on earth? Now, this isn't a rip on Per Lindholm. Who knows? It's a very small sample size. Although, what are the mathematical odds of that happening? That's insane. But the Per Lindholm trade makes sense, and it might be part of the reason why this is working, but don't you dare go, oh, well, I'm glad Per Lindholm's gone, he sucks. The Leafs signed Per Lindholm to be their 4th line center and then never made him that. Remember early in the season, he was like 3rd line left wing with Nas, and then he was 4th line center, and then they would put Goat in, and they tried him on the wing, and that was awful. So they're like, well, let Lindholm do it. And he played maybe 10 or 15 games of actual center for the Leafs. Maybe if he goes to the Jets, he can actually do what he was brought in to do. And they traded him for Nick Petan, who's an actual actual winger. But oh, why am I slowing down? We're not done. Gautier's got two guys, one of them being Jack Eichel, digging in his feet and knocking him down and just mauling him to get the puck. Eichel gets it, rings it around the boards behind the Leafs net, but Riley retrieves it. He sends it to Gauthier, who is now wide open and at least 10-15 feet away from his own blue line. Sends a pass from there to just between the face-off circle and the offensive blue line. Tyler Ennis on a breakaway. Are you serious? Leafs were down. Scored a goal. Another goal. Another goal. Carter Hutton storms off and rips off his mask and slams it. But it didn't matter because Carter Hutton or Linus Ullmark were no match for the Leafs' big, beefy trade deadline acquisition, Tyler Ennis. Look, I know Boston's huge. I know the Leafs aren't the biggest, toughest team out there. And I don't know if there was a move the Leafs could have made, even if they went out and got Wayne Simmons or whatever, that would have made them equal to the Bruins in that category, or even close to equal. The Leafs have embraced what they are, which is not the biggest, but fast. Dude, most fourth lines are just full of plugs. And the Leafs have two speedy water bugs on the wings, and in the middle they have Freddie, practically Thomas Caberlet Gauthier. I don't get it, and the Leafs are up 4-1. Later in the period, Jake Muzzin gets an interference penalty, and while killing that penalty, Nikita Zaitsev got a tripping penalty because the NHL is rigged. At least that's what I choose to believe because it makes me feel better. And oh, the Leafs are having such a hard time killing it off, but they're gonna at least kill it off to get it to the With 3 seconds left on the 5-on-3, this is no one's fault. Sam Reinhart bags it. Dahlin goes to take a slap shot from the point. It looked like he fanned on it. I don't think it was an intentional pass at all. Jeff Skinner gets it, passes over to Reinhart. What are you gonna do? But nonetheless, the Leafs, after an amazing second period, head into the third with a 4-2 lead. They outshot the Sabres 17-10. Hell yes! And the Leafs head into this third period with a record of 29-0 when leading after 2. The Sabres are going to have some kind of start to even have a chance of coming back in this one. Jack Eichel comes in, snipes 9 seconds in. Yeah, alright, yeah, that's pretty good. So now the Sabres are within 1 and they have 19 minutes and 51 seconds to tie it. And it went totally smoothly. From there on out, it went totally smooth. And by totally smooth, I mean it was utter pandemonium and they had to rely on Freddie. Freddie, oh my god, it was so hectic. He had to make so many incredible saves, but none more incredible by one that literally made TSN malfunction. In all my years of watching hockey games, I've probably watched thousands of hockey games in my life. I've never once seen this happen. Sabres are passing it back and forth, and it's getting deflected, and camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2, and then TSN for a flash second after Freddie makes an incredible save, Jeff O'Neill pops on the screen with this face. Because, I don't know, I guess they accidentally went to one of the studio cameras? Now, as a Sportsnet employee, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this, but I gotta give a little hat tip to TSN. Because, dude, I just worked my first trade deadline day from start to finish. I'm obviously the rook, but I got to see how the sausage is made, and there's a lot of work that goes into it, and it's a long day. Both networks are on air from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's a 9-hour broadcast, which means you're probably there before that, like at least an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, especially if you're setting up. And then these guys had the Leaf game. I don't know which director or cameraman or whatever pushed a button or something, but they've been there for like 3/4 of a day. You can't blame them. And it produced a split second of a priceless moment. Hilarious. I've never seen that before in my life. And in that moment, he was all of us just, oh, Freddie has that effect on people. So, Freddie holding the fort, and with about 4 minutes left, Austin Matthews sticking the skates of Reinhart. No! And the Leafs were doing a good job. Ron Hainsey doing a good job being physical. The Leafs had really active sticks in the slot, I noticed, because the Sabres kept trying to feed someone in the slot for a bomb. Eichel with the puck. He tries to send a pass to Rasmus Dahlin. It just glances off the ref's skate, but it's enough to completely screw Dahlin up, and he falls. And what have I said before, boys and girls? Kasperi Kapanen's got that uh-oh speed, that bye speed. And he says bye, and he doesn't even have to have the best handles or the best shots because he's so fast, they're uncontested. Snipes on Ullmark, 5-3. The Leafs aren't coughing this up, which did not stop me from counting down the seconds going, oh my god, do not cough this up. Like, my Leafs damage is dark. I'm like, okay, here's how it's gonna happen. The Leafs are 29-0-0 when leading after 2. And that is gonna be ended because they blew a 4-1 lead where Jack Eichel scores a hat trick to score the game-tying goal with Austin Matthews in the box. That's how this is gonna work. But it's the dawn of a new day, and Kasperi Kapanen scores the shorty, the T-Pain, if you will. The Leafs are up by 2, and that's how it would stay. Sabres fans, if I were you, I'd be salty. Okay, look, this is a completely ifs and buts scenario. You have no idea what would have happened. Leafs ultimately did win by 2, Sabres only had 3. However, if the puck does not hit the ref's skate there, not only do the Leafs not score, but who knows what the Sabres do. If they keep the puck in the zone, there was some time left, man. Man, it's been that type of year for the Buffalo Sabres, but you got Montour. The team appears committed to at least be trying something to try to get into the playoffs. Man, you get some darn saves, you might even make it. But you got a cost-controlled Montour. Eichel's only going to get better. Dahlin's only going to get better. And you know what? I'm going to say this right now. I think Jeff Skinner stays. Yes, this is his opportunity to get a really big meal ticket, but I think the Sabres will be willing to pay him handsomely. And man, he's got a really good thing going with the Sabres. If they don't make it to the playoffs, it won't be because of him. He's the one with 100 goals and apparently ankles made out of adamantium. That's how I would feel if I were you. Questions? Yo, what? Not a question. I just wanted you to enjoy a pic of my wedding cake on the back of a fun game. That is a beautiful wedding cake, and I hope you love it. But remember, and I'm gonna get sappy for a second, this day is about you two. The cake is a bonus. If you get to eat it and that's delicious, that's great. But at my wedding, we had a 4-tier cake. 2 of the tiers collapsed. We still partied. But if your cake collapses, make sure the logo's okay. Is Kadri truly missed in the Leafs lineup? Alright. A few things can be true here, alright? Willie is playing his best hockey of the season, and he looks pretty good as a center. Nazem Kadri is an extraordinarily important part of the Leafs. Dude, the Leafs had a winning record when Austin Matthews was injured. The Leafs have a winning record when Garrett Sparks is in net. Matthews and Andersen are still extraordinarily important parts of this team. I said it on the podcast, I'll say it again. I like the idea of keeping Willie in the middle and letting Nas be his annoying self on the wing when he comes back. Just as an experiment, I think it'd be fun to try. Regardless, yes, he is truly missed. This is a lot of questions, but I think it's important. So that was fun. Kind of disappointed that we didn't get a right-hand D, but glad we didn't overpay. So does Moore go back down when Patan arrives? Thought Dubas said he wanted Moore to get an extended look. Or can we keep him up now that the roster has expanded? Okay, so this is really interesting. Moore can still go up and down. And keep in mind, the fourth line is Ennis, Gauthier, Moore, but Kadri's not in the lineup right now. So what, is Patan just going to be the forward version of Justin Hall and never play? I love that I'm getting my wish. I said it. I said full-time Trevor Moore. And I think he's got to be full-time, but the answer of where is easier said than done. Moore's got to be in the lineup if he's with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are better with him in the lineup. It doesn't make sense, however, for him to be sitting, and if they sit him, I'd rather him be sent down to the Marlies. And Patan's got to at least be given a shot, doesn't he? I mean, it's starting to get towards the playoff stretch run. Why not give some guys some maintenance days like the Raptors are doing with Kawhi? Tyler Ennis is doing great, but you can't tell me he can't sit the occasional game just to rest up and give Patan a shot. As for them not getting a right-hand D, I was disappointed too. At the same time, I bet the prices were astronomical. And how bad is the defense really? They went out and they added Muzzin, and they kept Gardner. In this game, the almost comeback by the Buffalo Sabres was a 5-on-3, and it was kind of a fluke. And on the third one, it was Jack Eichel burning people, which he does. He's Jack Eichel. He gets paid $10 million. The Leafs' offense needs to be as lethal as possible because that's their thing. None of this 6 shots in a period nonsense. I find the right-hand D thing is more of an issue at the offensive blue line, and that's where the Leafs get caught so often. So what needs to happen to improve overall team defense is the old F3 situation, which we've mentioned how many times? Interesting times coming up. I honestly think the Leafs might give Calle Rosen a shot too. I'm starting to be okay with these slow starts. Am I just accepting it? Have the 2 wins skewed my opinion on slow starts? Am I conditioned to say that's just the Leafs? Yeah, no, playing bad at any point in the game, whether it's in the first, second, third, or overtime, is bad. And over the past 2 games, the Leafs have played 4 periods of some of the best hockey I've seen them play all season. And both first periods were 2 of the worst. And that is what drives me nuts about this Toronto Maple Leafs team. It's not that they don't look good enough on paper and they need to go out and get a right-hand D and then they'll look good. No, dude, this team already looks sick on paper. Why don't they play like it? And when they do play like it, why don't they play like it all the time? It's a process. Full-time, Trevor Moore. Why was this on my television? Yeah, about that. You should listen to tomorrow's brand new Pinnacle Pizza Steve Dangle podcast when I explain it all. Explain everything that I did on the 2019 NHL trade deadline for Sportsnet. It was wacky. It was a lot of fun. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. I got a book. You should get that too. Pre-order down below. Marner jar down below. Forget how this works. I gotta go to sleep.